So the first 2 weeks of executing on that and pulling that off has felt really great. And I hope you all can say the same. And after we go through what I'm going to show you in this webinar, I'm hoping that you all will get a lot of value, just a tremendous amount of value. So we can go ahead and get started. There's a few things that you're going to need to do, and I'm going to share my screen and show you how to do it, because what the purpose of this webinar is that I want it to be somewhat interactive. I want you all to have something you can take away, something you can use to really plan out your 2026 and your marketing goals. We're going to be covering all of the different aspects of putting together a solid plan, and I believe that this workbook will help you do it. Let me share my screen really quickly, and I'll show you all exactly where to go and what the next steps are. Let's see here. So I'm hoping everybody can see my screen here, but if you go to techie.com/2026, that is going to be a link to the workbook that I'll be going through in this video. So really, it's simple to get a copy. All you do is click on this picture. Once you do, it's going to ask you to make a copy, which if you're signed into your Google account, it'll make a copy there. And you'll see something like this. And this is the document that we'll be going through. I'll give everybody a little bit of time to pick up and get the workbook. Again, those instructions were go to techie.com/2026 right up here. I don't know if you can see that up there. Click on this image. It will ask you to make a copy. And after you click that button, you should see this here. And this is a document that you now have a copy of. You can fill it out. You can add things to it. That's our intention behind having this workbook, is so that you can use it to actually plan things out. And I'll be going through everything. I'm not going to speed through it. I'll give some time, ask some questions, explain things so that you all have time to fill this in. Hopefully everybody has that set up. Everybody's good, and we can proceed through the documents. So let's talk about the objectives. Like I said, this is something that is workshop style. So I would like everyone to be thinking about what they're putting into the document, everyone to consider, so that you can put together a good plan with a lot of the information we're going to talk about over the amount of time that we have. The objectives are, we want to set realistic goals and outcomes for your marketing this year. We don't want to have anything too crazy, too outside of the norm. We want, okay, these goals are realistic. This makes sense for where I'm at in my company and what I need to do going forward. I want everyone to really understand how consumer behavior has changed. It's completely different. There are a lot of companies that we talk to that are still trying to sell their products and services like it's 2021, 2022. We live in an age where AI has now just risen up and been inserted into every part of the internet now. And along with that came a big change in how consumers make buying decisions. And so we're going to talk about that. We'd also like to talk about what actually works today, like what we saw working really well in 2025, and then where to start. What should you actually implement? What should you actually put together in order so that you don't waste your time with things that you may not be ready for? And then what steps should I take to educate and build in my industry? A big part of how you're going to win this year is making sure that the client feels like your business is a sure bet. Your business is a sure thing. If I reach out, this company is going to take care of me. And there are a lot of steps you do before that to get them to feeling that way about your company. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about how to just put everything together. What does it mean in the grand scheme of the operation to put it all together? So if that sounds great, which I hope it does, we will get right into it. And like I said, I'll be mostly working out of this document. I'd love it if you all can fill it in, type in whatever you need alongside of my presentation here. So let's go ahead and scroll down. So let's look at where you're at in your company. So again, you can fill this in later, but really we're going to be looking at a few key areas that marketing and sales impacts. First is, how much revenue did you do last year? So in 2025, you ended at X. And I have some example numbers in here just to give you a demonstration. What we want from there is about how much revenue was that per close or per customer. So how much money did you potentially make off of each person that came in? And you can just do that math however you want, because the reason we're doing this is we're trying to come up with a projection. And then the third baseline number is, what was your close rate? Out of all of the opportunities and leads that came your way, how many of them actually closed into new business? Now, for some, you may not actually really be, those numbers may not be as strong as you would have hoped. You may not quite know those numbers, but those are very important things to understand. If you don't know those numbers, that's okay. You do want to try and figure those out as quickly as possible, but we want to put a projection together. So even if you don't have them, think about, where do I want them to be? I'd modify these just so you can have a baseline from where you're at. You can click here and just type, delete, do whatever you need to do. Put those in, make sure those are set so that you can look back on this later and look at where you've come from. So where are we going, right? So where do you want to be this year? Let's take a look at the annual revenue that you want. So let's say you wanted $1,080,000. We're going to put that here. Now, let's say you kept the average revenue that you make per close still at $3,000. So we're going to keep that there. If you want to increase it, you can. That's totally fine. But let's say that you got the same amount. Now, if we do the math here, we're going to take our annual revenue and divide it by the revenue per close. That's going to give us roughly the amount of customers that we need throughout the entire year to be able to hit that goal. Pretty simple math, pretty straightforward math. So we're going to want to put that down here. Next, I like to divide that by 12. That gives me an idea of how many customers I need every single month. And it gives me a good projection on what the marketing effort needs to be on a monthly basis. Round the number if you need to, but that's why I put this here. And then let's say I wanted to improve my close rate. It's saying, okay, last year I only closed about 60%. The average, by the way, is about 30%. That's the average across the board. You're doing exceptionally well at 60, but can it be 65? Can I increase that even more? Go ahead and put that right down here. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to take the amount of customers you need, and we're going to divide that by your close rate percentage. So in my case, we would divide that by 0.65. We're also going to take the monthly customers needed and do the exact same thing. Divide it by 0.65. What we're going to get are the number of leads we actually need to generate on a yearly and monthly basis in order to hit our revenue goal. So I just want to give you all a little bit of time to put some notes down. You don't have to fill it all the way out if you don't happen to have all of those numbers, or you want to take a little more time to think about it. But certainly put your notes down, put them down here, whatever you need to do, so that you can come back, come up with that number. How many leads do I really need to hit my goal with marketing this year? So I just want to give everybody about 30 seconds or so to just get your notes in, type in whatever you need, and then we will proceed through the rest of the document. All right, perfect. So now that you have that in place, that's just a really good foundation that we can use to move into the rest of the conversation. And so going down, now the question comes, where do I get the leads? So where do you actually generate all of this stuff? So in this section, I just want to quickly break down, before we get into a few more specifics, what are the primary channels based on the type of business you're in? You might be B2C, you might be more B2B, and there are different approaches that you need to take. Now, there's an extra layer on top of this because it's also industry specific. If you're B2B, but you serve local customers, then you are a bit of a blend between both of the strategies. If you're B2B and you serve more of a national audience, then you're pretty much all into this strategy. And if you're B2C that serves local, you're almost always going to be in this strategy here. So there's a bit of overlap, but B2C, especially if you're serving local, you have to focus on your SEO. and your local rankings. So primarily Google Business Profile and a few other things we're going to talk about later. You want to focus on your paid ads. So Google AdWords, Facebook ads, things like that. You do want to focus on your email campaigns. Essentially, how can I reactivate a lot of customers that I've already had? That's also something you do in B2B. And then social media marketing and your content. Really, a lot of the same things apply in B2B, but B2B is much more content heavy. And by content, I'm talking you have to do video content. It's not just about blogs anymore, because with artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, AI overviews, they are stealing the traffic away from what used to go to websites. Now people can get any answer to their question just from Google, and they never have to click on a website. So blogging is no longer quite enough when it comes to really getting good conversions in B2B. So you do need content, but then you want to do webinars, you want to do live events. You need to do a lot of education in B2B. You have to do a lot of education. Outside of that, paid advertising still works really well in B2B, but again, you have to nurture that. And then social media marketing and email campaigns, just like B2C. Those are really the primary channels for generating leads. But let's actually dive a little bit deeper into this. Really, if you just jump into doing any of those strategies without understanding this, you might have a hard time, because this is where we're going to talk about how customer behavior has changed drastically. And a lot of it does have to do with AI and just where the internet is today. Like I said, a lot of businesses are still selling like it's 2021, even 2019, 2018, and they're way behind the curve. So we're going to talk about how to get up to speed here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit there. There we go. So when we talk to a lot of the clients that we work with, this was one of the biggest shifts that I think led to our clients seeing much better outcomes, was when we got people on board with how this whole process works, because you have to really understand and meet the customer where they're at. So before a customer buys anything online, these are the steps they're going through. So before they know they have a problem, right? They know that, I'm struggling with this. This is an issue. I have questions about it. Way before they even look for a business, they're going to be trying to do a lot of self-education. In the world of AI, now everyone has the ability to learn a ton of information about what you do in your industry that they would have previously not been able to find. They can just go to ChatGPT and ask very specific questions that they have that is relevant to their problem. That ChatGPT will just say, here's all the information, here's how it works. But more importantly, here's what you should be looking for when it's time to actually select a service provider. So the customers that are starting their search and actually looking for a service provider, they have a lot more education than they did previously. They're not just coming in blind and I don't know anything about it and I don't know what I want. No, a lot of times they know exactly what they want, and ChatGPT has told them that this is what you need. So there's a pro and con to that, because sometimes ChatGPT is just flat out wrong about what can actually be delivered. So in order for you to stand out, you have to understand they're coming to me and they have this education. It might be right, it might be wrong, but I have to make it seem like I'm exceeding that expectation and I'm giving them something that the AI could not give them. That's a very important step to understand, but just know that people are using ChatGPT, they're going to YouTube, they're going to social media to be educated on your services before they reach out. So if you're caught off guard and they seem like they know more than you, they're going to the next person. So definitely keep that in mind. Number two, awareness. Okay, they're ready to find somebody. Okay, I've done all the education I need. I'm ready to spend some money to get this done. You need to just show up. Whenever they're looking for options, you just need to be there. If you're not among the places where your customer looks, you're invisible. You can have the best product, the best service, all of that, but if you're not showing up, it doesn't matter. So the awareness is really all about just showing up in Google search, It's particularly Google Maps, making sure that you're in some of those directories, making sure your website's here, making sure you're running ads to get in front of these people when they need you. Those are some of those tactics. Research is really the next part where a lot of businesses lose leads. So they found you. That's great. They didn't just find you. They actually found you plus 5 or 6 different competitors, depending on the industry, some lower, some higher. But they open multiple tabs, and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to start comparing the website. Is it a quality website? Is it a broken website? Is it unprofessional? Is it cheap? Because it's a perception thing, and people make that perception. There's a study, I can't remember the exact number, but I think it was like half a second. People make a judgment call about your website. And if they leave, that actually hurts your ranking. If they get to your site and they leave immediately, that tells Google that, oh, they didn't find what they were looking for. We need to not recommend this website as much. So your website is one of the strongest components for research whenever a customer is comparing you to your competitors. So something to keep in mind for sure. The other things that people research are they research your reviews. So what are people saying? Are people having a good experience? And then they actually research you on social media as well. So they're going to want to know, is this a real business? How are the people? What's the culture like? Now, not everybody goes to social media, but it is another layer of, are these people someone that I want to do business with? Especially in B2B, it's going to show, okay, if I'm going to enter into a long-term partnership with this business and spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars with them, I want to make sure that the people are happy that work there. I want to make sure that they're taking care of their employees, they're taking care of their customers. And they're doing that research in a lot of different areas. You have to have your house in order when it comes to researching, because it's all about winning the comparison race. Next up is booking. So booking is really when they've narrowed it down to maybe 2 or 3 people. Sometimes they narrow it down to just you, and that's great, but it doesn't happen as often. But they've decided, okay, I'm going to reach out to this business. The booking process is another place where businesses lose leads all the time because it's just not smooth. Sometimes they call and the phone just doesn't get answered, and they're done at that point. Sometimes there's not a variety of options. Some people don't want to call right away. Some people would rather schedule with you. They'd rather schedule online. So that option should be available. And then a lot of people will fill out the form. But what happens after that is just as important when it comes to the follow-up. Do I get an immediate response when I book? How do I know that they received my inquiry? Are there follow-ups and reminders for my appointment? Because they can get distracted. They can get distracted because there are maybe 1 or 2 other people that they're considering. And if they send a booking request to you and they don't hear anything back, they might think that you don't care and they're going to go to someone else. So these components are very important, and you have to have all of them in place. And they all directly lead into the customer actually booking with you, and actually it increases your chances that you'll close them. Close rate being lower really comes down to a lot of these steps here. Looking into these 4 squares, I just put in like the main service components that are aligned with each stage. So your awareness is all about your Google Maps, your local organic SEO, and your paid ads. Those are the primary sources. And then AI search, while AI search is not going to dethrone Google or other search engines anytime soon, it is a rising prominent source of leads. And in fact, most people believe that the leads that come from AI search are much, much better quality. And that's because they're more educated, they're more researched, and they know more about what they want. And if they're going to spend a lot of money or they're going to look into a long-term partnership, they're doing that additional research because they want this to be a sure thing. So AI search also, there's a really interesting stat. Back in November, it was either October or November of 2025, ChatGPT surpassed 800 million weekly users. And that number has only gone up in the last 3 months. It's really extraordinary. And so the adoption is there. The adoption is there, and it will continue to increase. So you do want to be thinking about how you show up in an AI search, but also you just need your house to be in order in these other areas. Research, that's your website, that's your content, text, video, and images. Don't just have text and don't just have stock photos. You need all three on your website. Your reviews, and then your social media and how you're keeping up with that. Booking, have good online scheduling, form qualifications, click to call buttons, and you have good phone handling. Make sure you're answering the phone, number one. And number two, when people call, make sure that you have a good script or method to handle the common questions and get them into an appointment. Because people lose leads on the phone all the time. It's very interesting. And then follow up. Make sure there's an immediate reply. When people reach out, they need to talk to someone right away. Make sure you have reminders for appointments, quotes, whatever it is. Make sure that you build value in that follow-up. Hey, here's a case study, or hey, here's something that really helped this other person out. Here's what to expect when you have your consultation with me. All of that goes a long way. And then reach out. If you've only had them contact you via a form or a scheduled appointment, call them before the appointment. Touch base with them. Don't just let the system handle all of it. Try to reach out to them manually. So those are those 4 areas. And I want to, as I go down, I want to take some time with those 4 initial areas. Where do you think your business currently stands? And I want to encourage you all to just click in here, delete the number, and give yourself an honest score on a scale of 1 to 10 on where you think you are. Where am I with those 4 areas? Do I have good awareness for customers that need my service? Am I providing really good research when they're comparing against my competitors? Is my booking process good? Do I actually have it thought out? Am I accounting for the different types of people that want to reach out to me in different ways? And what's my follow-up? Are they just sending a form and I'm not getting anything? You really think about those and give yourself an honest score on a scale of 1 to 10. I'll give everybody just a little bit of time to do that here. Funny story, we've been talking to a lot of our clients and we're trying to get to everybody before we get too late into the year. But we've been going through this exercise and some of the ratings they're pretty interesting. We'd love to get everybody up to a 10, but there's parts that we control and parts that they control. And so we're trying to collaborate with them. We're trying to get them to a good point. But yeah, the booking and the follow-up, especially on the phone. We had a guy, and he's a great guy, but man, he's not great on the phone. Like a customer will call and it's like, he sounds like he doesn't want to talk to them, number one. And then number two, if there's any sort of, I don't do this, he just cuts off just immediately, just cuts the customer off. And I'm thinking, hey, you can't come to us and ask about like where all the leads are. They're coming, but it's interesting. But we had that conversation and he's been doing a lot better. I think he just needs to probably hire somebody to handle that phone for him though. Anyway, coming down, there's actually 2 additional stages. So we went over 4, there's actually 2 more. And these 2 are the most important. These are more important than the first 4. Like they all are important, right? But these 2 are absolutely critical, especially for 2026. That's the experience, and then that's the retention stages. So after a customer has booked with you and they actually show up, the experience that you provide to them has to match and exceed your marketing. So you're building, and that's everything you're doing in these first few stages. An expectation is being built by YouTube, built by social media, built by ChatGPT, built by your reviews, built by your website, your booking process. It's creating this expectation. And if the experience does not match that expectation, that customer will never come back and they're not going to refer you. You have to really work on the experience that your business provides. That's not necessarily something that you can solve with digital marketing because that's your processes, your everything that you do internally. But I just want to explain the mindset that customers have. They're like, okay, I've done all of this work, all of this research. thought about this a lot, and this is like the moment where I'm actually going to potentially solve this huge problem that I have. And you have to meet and exceed that expectation. And you have to do it consistently, right? If you do, that person is much easier to retain, and you can turn them into the biggest fan of your company. Some of the stages of retention, which this is a part of digital marketing, are you can then send them a review request or get the review in person. You can do email marketing, you can retarget them with ads, and just a lot of different activities to stay top of mind with that person. I'm going to talk about it a bit more later, but your goal is to get as many super fans and loyal customers of your business as possible. I would say that is even more important than the marketing this year. And I'm going to explain it a little more later, but if you can get a solid base of people that are just like, man, I love this company, I really like what they're doing, I support them, that will grow you more than any amount of money that you spend on ads and any push in marketing that you do this year. I guarantee it. Definitely something to keep in mind, but you have to nail these two stages. You have to really nail them. And with retention, get an if you're not email marketing, get it in place. You have to send a review request to every single customer, right? I know that sometimes people don't want to send it. And if it's like a really terrible experience, you should probably try and resolve that in a different way. But you do need to be asking for reviews consistently. You need to set up, you can set up retargeting ads to go back to the customers that you served in the past. You want to have some kind of loyalty, whether it's a loyalty program or something that gives them an exclusive access or exclusive content to your business. You're making them feel like they're a part of something that they can't get anywhere else. And it's very important. And then you continue with ongoing content that educates them, informs them, or does something to keep you top of mind. So pay close attention to these two and put a lot of work in on them this year. Truly. Just another quick area, rate yourself again with these two. I'm sure that you have a great way that you deliver your service, a great way that you interact with customers, how they're satisfied after the fact. Just rate yourself. Like, am I where I want to be with this? Can it be a little better? Just go ahead and take a little bit of time to do that. And then retention. Am I actually employing any retention strategies? Am I actually reaching out to my past customers? What am I doing to make them feel like I still care and I still want them to hear from me? It's not just, okay, job's over, see you later. There was a client we spoke with, and it was crazy. It's this plumbing client. And they told us a funny story about how they went to a customer's house about a year later to fix, I think, their water heater or something. And while they were talking, the text said something about, yeah, the one last year, something along the lines of last year. And the guy says, yeah, I don't know, the customer, yeah, some company came and installed this last year. Yeah. And then he goes, oh, we installed that last year. He goes, really? The customer had no idea. He had no idea that this company was the same people that came and installed the last one, and that he had a warranty plan. But that's because this company was not the job was over, move on, never hear from us again. There was no retention strategy there. Now, he could have engaged with them, he could have referred them, all of this stuff, but none of that happened because they didn't reach out. Yeah, it's very important. It's really important. It's a lot cheaper to get more business out of your existing base of customers than it is to go for someone new. Every single time, that's going to be cheaper. So this is where I want to get into the specifics of what actually works today. I have a big list, and what you can do as you go through this, you can actually check this off. So we're not gonna, of course, if you want, you can check it off as I go through these, but we do want to just check these off as you update them for yourself. Was your Google business profile optimized to include the correct information, photos, proper categories, and services for my industry? This is for B2B, B2C customers that serve local, because for B2B, your Google business profile is not as important. of course, still have one. You still need to have your address listed. But what I'm going to go through first is mainly for a lot of people in B2C that serve customers in their local metro. But your Google business profile has to be optimized and it has to include those things. I have a whole video, like I have a YouTube channel for those that I don't know who's seen it and who hasn't seen it, but I have 2 videos on a complete walkthrough of Google Business Profile. Every component of it, I really break it down. It was actually, one of them was my very first video I ever did. And then another one I did last year. And I'll probably pull up the YouTube channel like later in the video. I can show you where it is because I've got a lot of great education on there. But next up, am I running Google LSA with a maxed out budget? If you are local, you have to have LSA running. LSA is a very low risk advertising platform. Basically, you set it up and it's pay per lead. Now, not every industry is on LSA, but a lot of them are, and it's mainly service-based businesses. So you can turn that on and you only pay when you get a phone call, or a text message or form submission from an actual customer. You don't pay to be on the platform. You don't pay to show up. They put you at the top of Google and you sign up and you verify that you are who you are, but it's a really great platform. It's a really great platform. And I'd say setting it up is the most low risk way to generate leads that is out there. Are you running paid ads with retargeting? Some of you are running Google Ads, and Google Ads are also very powerful. It's another great layer on top of LSA, but you're probably not retargeting people. And the reason you want to retarget is because when somebody clicks and goes to your website, you paid for that. So if they leave and don't convert, retargeting follows them around the internet so that you can try and recapture that click for far less. So you just get more out of your budget by retargeting. Am I listed in authoritative directories that people use to find businesses like mine? So that's the Chamber of Commerce. Are you a member of your local Chamber of Commerce? Being on that website actually tremendously helps your SEO. And with AI search, when somebody types in, I'm looking for a HVAC company in Shawnee, Kansas, they're going to look to see, okay, are they in the Shawnee Chamber of Commerce? Because Shawnee is highly relevant for the city. And are they in this other organization? Are they over on Johnson County this? They're looking for that because that's relevance to the location. And it's very important to do this to show up locally, because back in the old days of SEO, you can build any type of link. You would just build a link over here or a link over here, and they're just random. As long as they had authority, it was cool. But now with AI and how Google has updated, they're looking for, do you have links that are relevant to the keyword that someone is actually typing in? So being in those directories and the community directories, the community organizations, that the press and sponsorships that you do goes a long way. A lot of times you can just get into 2 or 3 chambers of commerce and you'll turn the entire ranking map green. You'll show up everywhere because competitors just don't do it. They're just not doing it. They're going to catch up because people are talking about this now. They're going to catch up, but right now they haven't. And then am I listed in other community relevant websites and directories? So you have Yelp, Better Business Bureau, Angie, Bing, Apple Maps, etc. Those are just your general listings. They're really important, especially Yelp. Yelp used to not be nearly as important, but Yelp is extremely important now for local because Yelp drives the review system for Bing and Apple, which are 2 big pools of people. People have iPhones and they use Apple Maps. They don't use Google Maps, but Google is the only one that has its own review system. So Apple doesn't develop its review system. It just pulls from Yelp. So if you have reviews on Yelp, that's going to show on Bing and show on Apple. But if you don't have any, when people find you on those 2 search engines, it's going to look like you have no reviews, even though you have a ton of reviews on Google. So don't neglect some of those sites and also try to get reviews there. For B2B, are you running paid ads? Because like I said, blogs, they just don't go as far in B2B anymore. You probably have to run paid ads. And that's the short-term way to get leads is run paid ads, because people are going to click, they're going to come to you directly, and they're going to be interested in what you have to offer. However, video content, that's the king right now when it comes to generating leads in B2B. There's nothing that's better, nothing that's greater, particularly putting content on YouTube. Small channels are exploding on YouTube. My channel is an example. Like, I've got 450 subscribers, so not big by any stretch of what they would say is big on YouTube. But we get people to book calls with us through YouTube pretty regularly, pretty regularly. And something I've committed to is putting up new video content every week, because it doesn't matter if you only have 50 views. If all 50 of those people are people who are interested in doing business with you, that's what matters. There's a really great gym, like fitness gym, and they've got less than 1,000 subscribers, and they get maybe 20 views per video. It's not a lot, but each of those viewers is extremely high intent and the exact customer that they want. And he made over $1 million in sales from that YouTube channel. I'd have to find that guy's channel. If I do, I'll send it out to everyone, because it's really inspiring. But a super small channel that doesn't get a lot of views, that's making $1 million from that channel, that's the power of video content. And this applies to B2B as well. I'm sorry, B2C as well, but it's certainly important to B2B. People will find you on YouTube and people will reach out, but it's a long game. You have to be consistent over a period of time, but ultimately people will find you. And then, am I leveraging the video and turning it into shorts, blogs, podcasts, and social media content? So the beauty of video, again, you make one, and then you can use tools like Opus Clip to cut it into 30 different shorts that are edited, have captions, and then you have your social media for a month or two, just based on that one video. You can use AI to turn that video into a blog post to put on your website. You can take the audio from that video and turn it into a podcast. So from one session of sitting down and talking for 45 minutes, now you have all of this content to put out in all of these different areas. And so video is extremely important. And again, video is great because it's the most authentic media that you can have now. People can write blogs with AI, and they do every day. People are cranking out 20 blogs a day, which is insane. And it's flooding the internet with a lot of low value, non-helpful content. And people are also manipulating their images. And yes, it's true that there are AI videos, but the smart prospect can definitely tell something's wrong with this. That's not them. That's not authentic. So for the time being, the knowledge you have, the way you convey it on camera cannot be replicated. And you have to be doing that if you want to see an explosion of people reaching out, because you're educating them, you're giving them great information, and that's extremely valuable. Those are the building blocks to making them feel like you are a sure thing. Everything you're saying, you understand my problem. I met you because I see you on camera. It does so much for your business. And I encourage everyone to start. A couple of the other things: am I participating in niche groups and communities on social media? This is something else that has really exploded in the last couple of years, particularly Facebook groups. There's not a lot of activity on Facebook on your normal feed. If you've been on Facebook, which most of you probably get on there, check it at least once a day, it's flooded with a bunch of content that you don't follow, you never engage with before. They're just sending you stuff. Now, you still have people that do post on there, but it doesn't get nearly the reach that it normally would. And that's on purpose. It's intentional. But Facebook groups are very focused. And there's a Facebook group for everything. There's business owner groups. There's homeowners association groups. There's plumbing groups. There's teacher groups. There's all different types of Facebook groups. And all they do on there is just talk about different topics. Now, I think that everyone should find them and join and then participate. One way you can participate is just answering questions. You can provide value but the engagement there is very focused because they're not distracted by all of this other stuff coming in their feed. It's only conversations that they're having. It's basically like what forums used to be back in the day. If you participate in those groups and provide enough value about what you do, and also just send friend requests to a few people in there, you'll see people start to reach out. You'll see people start to understand, let me check this person out. Let me see what they're about. And again, it's all from people who are your target audience. So definitely explore Facebook groups. And then, yeah, am I doing email? Am I reaching out to old contacts? Now, where people get this wrong is they reach out to old and new prospects. And what they do is they immediately try to pitch them into some kind of sales call. That's not the right way to go. I sent over 2,000 cold emails last year and learned a hard lesson about what does and doesn't work. That did not work. However, reaching out to those cold prospects and saying, hey, you want to be on my video? Or hey, we have a podcast. Or hey, I have a YouTube channel. I'd love to interview you. Get them to share their experience to enhance your content. That's going to help them and it's going to help you. And you have a 10 times higher likelihood of them actually saying yes and wanting to be a part of what you're doing. Because it's not all on you. It's not all like for your benefit. It's for their benefit too. So change up your outreach strategy if you're doing it, if you're not doing it. And even people that you just know in your community say, hey, can we do a video together? Let's talk about it. I can put this on YouTube. That's the way to get people interested. And then when they're with you, what they're going to say is, hey, what do you do again? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. But you already broke down an essential barrier. So yeah, B2B, you got to be a little strategic. Anyway, that's the awareness piece. So let's talk about research. And I'm just going to go through this real quick. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that comment. I'll definitely want to get you all on the podcast because everyone has something great to share. Everybody has this great story. Just entrepreneurship is fascinating. And everyone has something to give. Just collaborate. There's a reason why podcasts are so big right now because people just love to hear people's stories. And so encourage that from the people. Anyway, getting into the research, does my website look professional? And does it speak to my target customer, including who they are and where they are? Be focused on what city you're targeting and then the type of customer. You're not trying to cater to every single person, just who your target customer is. Does the content address their fears, answer their questions and frustrations, and speak to why they should choose me? Again, the understanding. Do they know my problem? Do they know what's going on? And then answering the questions is really important too. Does my website have a dedicated page for each service I offer? So this is probably where I see most businesses get this wrong, is that's something that SEO and Google and even AI search is expecting. If you have a service, they want you to have a deep dive into that service. And to do that, each service that you offer should have its own page with questions, content, and images, whatever you can provide related to just that service. That provides extreme relevance for Google search engines and the AI search when someone is looking for something specific. If you have a lot of services and keywords just on one page, it works, but it can be confusing and you may not show up as high as someone else who did split those out. Does my website include clear expectations such as pricing, payment options, and next steps? So that's a big debate on including pricing on your website. A lot of the big players include pricing, but they include like a range because there's really two things that happen when you include pricing on your website. One, you qualify customers, you qualify leads because they get there and they say, I can't do that. But at the same time, people know what to expect and you don't have to overcome the pricing objection later. The prevailing messaging now that I've seen from other marketers I work with, other organizations that I've been a part of, say that you have to put pricing on your website. And one thing that let me make a note so I can send it to you. I attended a conference in Miami with a really smart guy who was doing a presentation. And he gave us a template on how to build the perfect pricing page. So I'm going to take a note. And by the way, that page will probably be one of the strongest pages on your website because that's always one of the first questions that people ask. This dog trainer that we worked with, we made a page called How Much Does Dog Training Cost in Kansas City? And that single page that generated on a monthly basis, that generated about 60 leads, 60 or 70 solid leads every month from that page, because that's what everyone wanted to know. And as soon as they saw, oh, that makes sense, I can do that. And then I see the reviews. I see the proof that they can back up what they claim. Yeah, she did a lot. We have a video testimonial of her. There was one month where she got 384 leads. It was amazing. It was amazing. Oddly enough, I have their website linked down here. It's Sit Now Stay. Oddly enough, she sold the business, and then she was with another company, another marketing company. And oddly enough, she just signed back up with us because things just weren't going as great. And then she had to rebuy back into the business. It's like a whole story. We'll definitely get her on the podcast to tell her story. She's a pretty great entrepreneur. Anyway, do I have authentic images or video of my business, my team, and how I perform my service? Just really keep it low on the stock. You really have to show who you are. You need authentic imagery and content on your website. Does my website have reviews and social proof backing up what I say? Am I featuring those testimonials and some of that other stuff? Do I have badges that show credibility? Are you a member of an organization? Have you won awards? Do you have any of that stuff to show? Really goes a long way. Do I have 5 stars on Google? Do I have an A+ rating on the Better Business Bureau? That stuff does matter when it comes to credibility. And then does my website make it easy to take action and get in touch with my company? So I included 3 examples. Feel free to click on them and see, because these check off many of the boxes and just really provide a really strong, okay, this is who we are. You could see us, get in touch. These are the next steps. It's really taking a lot of those steps into account. And then outside of the website, do I have good reviews on Google and other relevant places across the web? Is my overall rating good? And do I respond to my reviews? Ideally, you would have a 4 or above. If you don't have a 4, you'll just start asking people to leave you a review. If you have a bad review, that's okay, like a 1 star. But because very rarely is someone going to make a decision to not work with you based on 1 star versus 99 5 stars. And then does my social media back up that my company is real, serves my community, / industry well? And again, some of the same things, just that authenticity that you're providing. Let's talk about booking. So do I have a healthy amount of call to actions on my website? Do you actually have a call to action right away on your website? Because there are sites where you get there and here's the title and here's a picture, but no call to action. So you need to get that there. Sometimes you have a tiny phone number. That's another pet peeve. Let's make that phone number big and make sure people can see it. Do customers have the ability to schedule a time with me or my team onto our calendar? Do my forms have qualifications besides name, email, and message? Your forms, you should ask a few qualification questions. So, like how many employees do you have? How long have you been in business? Little things like that. What are you looking for? We add a simple one that's really just, are you a new customer? And people will say either yes, I'm a new customer, or no, I'm a returning customer, or I'm actually reaching out for someone else. And oddly enough, even the people who are like trying to spam you or sell you something will honestly answer that question. They'll actually say, no, I'm reaching out for something else, instead of saying yes and then trying to get by you. They will actually answer that question honestly. Do I have click to call phone numbers on my website? That's another one where people trip up. Most people that visit your website are going to be on their phone. Across hundreds of Google Analytics accounts that I've looked at, the vast majority of traffic comes from a mobile device, over 50%. So if you don't have a click to call, you have to get that on your website like right away. Do I have a what to expect video that explains the next steps of the process? So you're about to book, here's what's going to happen after you hit that button and book with us. That goes a long way. Am I sending people who book or fill out a form to a thank you page with more information? Am I or my staff trained to handle inbound phone calls the proper way? And then do I have a chat widget? That's something we didn't really talk about earlier. And not everyone does a chat widget, but it could be helpful. Some people find it annoying. So take it with a grain of salt and really think about the industry you're in. but a chat widget can really help. They have AI controlling the chat widgets now. So that thing can just, you basically give it a big document about like everything about your company, and that thing will intelligently answer questions related to that knowledge document that you gave it. So it's pretty cool. And we have the capabilities to do that through a platform we use. So let's get into follow-up. So when someone inquires with my website, do they get an instant response? We talked about that. Am I using a mix of email and SMS follow-up? So this is something that we had to learn when we were doing that outreach. We were reaching out to people via email, but not text. And we just got a higher response rate whenever the follow-ups happened with text messages. I'm sure some of you all got text messages about this event. That's all automated. We set all of that up in advance, and we said, when this happens, do these things. Do I have a system for reminders in place? So the reminders for the request, the quote, appointments, are they getting those things? Again, you all probably saw that from this event here today. And I said, am I sending additional value and building expectations after they book? Here's a testimonial, first time information, fill this out before our appointment. You can do all of that stuff through automations. And then am I calling each lead that books? So talked about that earlier. If somebody books, you can call them ahead of the call to confirm. That's going to help. And you don't have to do that personally if you're the business owner. You can get someone else to do that for you just to confirm. And then retention, which was a very important thing. You want to ask for reviews in person whenever possible, but like right after the job. A lot of people are curious about how to generate more reviews for their business. And the highest success rate is if you do it with the person. I've got a whole video on YouTube about the tier list for review generation strategies. But the best is you're done, the customer's happy, and you ask them, hey, could you leave us a review on Google? Now, the problem is if sometimes customers say, yeah, I'll do that. They leave, they're not leaving the review. They already forgot like 10 seconds after they answered the question. And it's because of the distractions of life. But after they answer that question, yeah, I'll leave you a review. Oh, do you have your phone? That's what you want to say next. Oh, do you have your phone? Hey, it takes 10 seconds. I can show you how to do it right now. All you do is open up Google Maps, go to search for your business, and then scroll up, and the reviews are right there. That is the number one best way to get reviews. If you have a team, if you train your team on how to do that, you can even incentivize them. If for every review they get, you can give them like $5, or the most reviews gets like a gift card or something. But that's the best way to get reviews. You could still send the emails, send the text messages, and some people will do it. But oftentimes people don't leave a review because they think it's going to take too long. You want the follow-up emails and calls, just like a survey, like how did the experience go? What to expect next? Basically afterwards, okay, you had the service done. It depends on your industry, but you had the service done, what to expect next. Consistent email newsletters. This is something that every single business can do. When you work with someone in your business, they should never stop hearing from you until they opt out. Hey, I'm done. I did a service with this company. They hear from you pretty much for the life of your business. You should set up a newsletter that just constantly is going out to people, because you never know when the need will arise again for them or for someone that they know, and they'll refer you. But yeah, they should never stop hearing from you after they engage with you one time. Retargeting ads, specifically for dentists, they would come in, patients would come in for treatment, but then they wouldn't complete treatment. So we set up retargeting ads. So whenever they go to Facebook, now it's, hey, complete your treatment. And we know that you came in for this treatment. Now this is following you to tell you, like, this is why you should complete it. Loyalty programs, events, and offers. We talked about that a little bit. Gifts of appreciation. So for Christmas, you can send out a little gift. It depends on how many people you work with and your budget, but that goes a long way too. And then, like we talked about earlier, invite them into your video content /podcast. So you can go through, like I said, check these off as you see them, and just let's check these off throughout the year wherever you stand. So to keep it simple, these are like two different maps for B2C or B2B as far as the order and the milestones that you should do if you were to start from basically from the beginning. In B2B, you should get your Google business profile optimized, or sorry, B2C, get your Google business profile optimized, get that all completed, and then make sure you have a good website. Oddly enough, and I'm not saying you should do this, but there are a lot of companies that are on Google business profile. They don't have a website, or their website is just like Facebook, and they're still getting people to reach out to them, because this is where a lot of people are going to find you first before they find your website. Like, this is more important than the website for awareness, which is why I didn't include the website in the awareness phase. So you need this going. After that, I would get your website and your content in order. I would get Google LSA set up. LSA is a great way to generate leads, very low risk, and they come out pretty high quality. I would make sure that you're doing social media. You don't have to post every day. You don't have to post 3 times a week. Just once a week is all you need. And it's more about quality over quantity. Even if you're only posting a few times a month, if the posts are like, hey, this is our team, or hey, it was this person's birthday today, or this customer's really happy, look at them smiling, look at this, that gets way more engagement than any other type of post you can make. But doing these things should get you some customers. Like, doing these things over time should get you some customers. After that, you just need to make sure you're getting reviews from those customers by asking every single person. Once you've built this up, this is a feedback loop that continues to build upon itself. And once it's to a certain point, then you start running ads. And that you have the revenue to run ads, and that will give you the ability to scale the amount of leads that you're getting on a monthly basis. But yeah, that just goes in a loop over and over again. And that's how companies ultimately get like really big over time. B2B, you need a website. You want to start there. It has to have really solid content, really solid design, needs to look really good. And then just start doing videos. In your videos, try to point people back to your website. You're educating them, but then they get you back to the website, which the website should close the deal from there. You want to be posting on social media. If you did your video, you can cut those videos up, post them on social, have them going out, have them getting out on all of those platforms. By the way, the number one video platform, like I said, YouTube. You have to be on there. You have to be putting content on there. But doing this over a period of time, outside of ads, like, you can run ads in the stage if you have the budget, but if you don't have an ads budget, doing these 3 over time will get you some solid leads and some people that will close. But again, get reviews from them. And then you can run paid ads to start to grow, or you can start to do email outreach. And B2B, they're looking pretty heavily at credibility, reviews. So that's why I say you do these in order. But your video strategy should be a big source of leads alongside paid ads when you can get to that point. But the conversions for paid ads will be dictated by the reviews and your video content. So that's how that looks moving ahead. So let's talk about the most critical part of marketing for B2B and B2C. It doesn't matter what kind of business you are, this applies to you. And I alluded to it just a little bit earlier, but most of your best opportunities, as far as your clients, customers, jobs, they're probably not going to come from Google. Don't get me wrong, some of them will, but some of the best customers, easiest opportunities are going to come from you actually building loyalty with your customers this year. Like, the marketing funnel is just completely broken. It's just completely shattered. You can build one that's pretty simple, but it'll be thrown out of whack because with AI, people are finding you in all kinds of crazy ways now. People are not getting to you just, I start here, then I go here, then I go here, then I go here. They are going all over the place. And so it's hard to put together something that was like, okay, this is our funnel. It's just so difficult now with all of the different ways that people reach out. But when you do get the customer, you just, like I said earlier, you have to really make sure that your experience and retention strategies are in place, because turning your customers into that loyal base of people is what will bring you compounding growth without having to spend an arm and a leg with Google and with other areas to advertise your business. The because there are less clicks because of AI, Google ads are going to be more expensive as a result. Website traffic is going to go down. It's already gone down quite a bit because of AI. It's just that people can get all of that stuff they need without ever going to you. So the only thing though is people still do want, and I say it down here, they want the human element still. They know that AI is not going to do everything for them. They need to talk to a real person with real expertise and a real unique perspective on how they do their service. You have to convey that and be that kind of standout business in a sea of just general content. Because yeah, truth be told, a lot of business owners are wanting to take the shortcut with AI. And it's not bad because we use AI. We use AI to make this picture. And it's great and it gets a lot of things done. But oftentimes people use AI and forget about being helpful. They forget about the unique perspective. They just use whatever AI gives them verbatim, and then they wonder why their results aren't there. You still have to give that 20%. If AI is doing 80, you have to give that 20%, but you also have to make sure that your input in delivering on the expectations we set, continuing to educate our base, making sure they're always hearing from us, giving them something that's exclusive, making them feel good for being a customer of ours. That will compound, that will get you referrals, and that will give you the lowest cost customer acquisition and the highest quality of any other tactic that you do in 2026. And it's something I'm going to be talking about more and more because that's something that we're really invested in this year as well. But you'll reach your goals much faster. Like the marketing is great, but the marketing has a purpose. The marketing has a goal. And that goal is to build very loyal, super fans of your business. It's not just to make money, which that's the byproduct. It's not just to get leads. We want to get extremely loyal customers. And the marketing just gets them in the door. It doesn't get them to stay. So just really think about that. Really think about that. That's the most important thing you can focus on this year. So this is really the next part of it. You all can take some time to really fill in these different sections. So what is your action plan? What are you going to do this year in all of these different areas? So for my awareness, what am I going to do there? Like I rated myself, but what do I actually need to do to turn this around? Research. What do I need to do when people are researching and comparing me to others? How do I need to provide more value than my competitors? Booking. Is my booking process good? Can it be improved? Can I add additional ways for people to reach out? What can I do there to make it better? Is my follow-up process good? Am I doing enough of it? Am I doing too much of it? What's the balance there? The experience I'm providing, that's something, again, it's outside of marketing, but in a way it is marketing because it's going to dictate what someone tells, their peers about after they're done. What improvements do I want to make to my experience? And then retention. How can I make sure that when people are finished working with someone, they weren't just another transaction, they weren't just another number. They've become a part of something. They've come into the family, right? So I want you all to fill in notes on what you really want to commit to for this year when it comes to all of these different areas. And feel free to fill this out. You can fill some of it out now. You can fill some of it out later. But yeah, feel free to go through and do that and consider all of the other sections that we went over as well. Check the boxes. Just do what you need to do to really get a snapshot for where you're at and create the vision on where you want to go. And then lastly, of course, as I've said throughout this call, this is something that I do. This is something we've done for well over 100, about 150 different businesses now where we have helped them grow. We've helped them understand the strategy. We've helped them understand the approach. And we've helped them make sense of what do I do? Where do I start based on where I'm at? What makes sense and what's going to actually be the lowest hanging fruit? That's something that we do. And if you're interested in having us help you with that, you can click on this link, go to the contact page, schedule a time. For those of you who I already work with, just reach out to me via email. I would love to talk to you about what 2026 should look like and just help you make sense of everything. Help you organize this, put it together, make it a really big and winning year. So that's really all I have when it comes to the presentation here. Like I mentioned, I hope you all have this document and can fill it out, can use it, and got a lot of value out of it. So I really appreciate you all hopping on. Again, this is my first one. This has been great to be able to talk to you all and share my knowledge with you all. I'm really hoping that all of you have an extraordinary 2026. I'm going to do this too. I'm going to do this I believe every second Thursday. I'm going to do a webinar. The next one is going to be a deeper dive on AI search. So you certainly don't want to miss that. I'll make sure that you all receive the email, receive the notification when we do that, but it's going to be about a month from now. So we've got a little bit of time. But yeah, thank you so much. This has been awesome. And here's to a great 2026. So I appreciate everyone hopping on, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.